Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this summit is strictly to reset our priorities in the Southeast, in the areas of security and economic development. I want to directly speak to His Excellency the Governor of Imo State. Your Excellency, barely 4 years ago, when you started this journey, you told Imo people that you are coming for reconstruction, rehabilitation, and recovery. Only yesterday, I saw a live event where you are trying to create Silicon Valley in Owerri, where thousands of Imo State youths can command the world and be part of the global village right on their palm. Thank you for thinking about the future. And so without much ado, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's therefore my pleasure and honor to welcome here the Governor of Imo State and Chairman of the Southeast Governors Forum, His Excellency Senator Hope Uzodimma.
Your Excellencies, the governors of Southeast here present with us, the President General of Ohaneze Ndi Igbo Worldwide, Chief Dr. Emmanuel Iwayam Aheja Gamba, former governors in our midst, former Senate presidents, the speakers of the various houses of assemblies in the Southeast of Nigeria, the honorable ministers, the Minister of Science and Technology, Chief Uchennaji, the Minister of State Labor, Employment and Productivity, Right Honorable Nkiru Onyejocha, the Chief of Defense Staff, ably represented by Major General Parker on their day, the Chief of Defense Intelligence, National Security Advisor, ably represented by Major General Okechukwu Ugo, retired, the Zonal Coordinator, National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons, the Chief of Army Staff, ably represented by our able Major General H.T. Dada, the GOC 82 Division, Nigerian Army, the Chief of Naval Staff, ably represented by Rear Admiral USA Shugali, the FOC commanding Central Naval Command. I must inform this august audience that the service chiefs are engaged with a national assignment that coincided with this date. And that is why they are all represented, including our own dear Chief of Naval Staff. The Royal Fathers of the day, His Majesty the Obi of Onitsha, Igwe Alfred Echebe, and other Royal Highnesses in our midst, the Chairman Imo State Council of Traditional Rulers, Eze Isi Okeke, the Chairman Imo State Council of Elders, His Royal Highness Eze C.I. Ilomaya, distinguished Igbo leaders, elder statesmen, great Igbo business moguls, and the academia, and also the private sector investors, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the government and people of Imo State, I most humbly welcome my brother governors, His Excellency, the Governor of Abia State, Dr. Alex Oti, His Excellency, the Governor of Anambra State, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, His Excellency, the Governor of Enugu State, Chief Peter Mba, the Governor of Ebonyi State, who is not here yet, is on his way, was tied up with a meeting in Abuja that lasted throughout the night. But it is my hope that before the end of this first session, he will either be here or his deputy governor will be here. I want to thank all of us here gathered for coming to honor us with your presence. I want to also thank all of us, the organizing committee, for the wonderful performance they were able to display in organizing and putting this function together. May I also welcome other stakeholders here, the clergy, leaders, Ndieze, the intelligentsia, political good juggernauts, our serving and retired security personnel, our dependable women leaders, our resilient youths. I did not forget members of the National Assembly who came all the way from Abuja to participate in this ceremony. In those days, when our people took their destiny in their hands and did not wait for government to provide all their needs, decisions on the educational, economic, and such as this. And that was how schools, town halls, and other infrastructure were built in the Southeast. And that was how intelligent but indigent students were sent abroad on scholarships. And that was how cooperative societies were set up to aid the commercial needs of our members. For me, this summit heralds a glorious new dawn. I pray that it shall stimulate and grow the creative energy we need to forge a lasting synergy among Igbo. I know our town unions are doing their best to keep Igbo kindred's spirit alive. But we all know that the thread is weakened. As for the government, we all have nostalgic feelings about the First Republic, the era of late Michael Obara, the astronomical growth of the economy of the eastern Nigeria, when palm produce was the mainstay of the economy, when agriculture, industrialization, to catapult the East to the enviable status of the fastest growing economy in the entire country. It appears that our noble men of history understood the timeless Igbo philosophy that says, Uzodimma and Nage. They also knew that cohesion and vision were essential drivers of progress and development. We may need to pause for a while to identify what has really gone wrong within the Igbo, or where we got it wrong. How come we could achieve so much in the pre-independence and the immediate post-independence era, but today we are gasping for breath to find our feet in the project Nigeria? How did the mighty Igbo nation fall almost fatally from her Olympian height to the basement? Is it the same Igbo race that formed the ingenious Igbo State Union even before independence, which became a rallying point for the development of our Igbo and their respected voice in Nigeria? Is it the race we are talking about? Is it the Igbo race that produced an array of trailblazers who recorded many firsts in different fields of human endeavor in the past, and they still do? Is it the race we are talking about? Is it the same Igbo race that the great Zeke of Africa once predicted that it was destined to lead and liberate Africa, that cannot even assert its strength anymore in today's Nigeria? There are more questions, but suffice it to admit that all point to the same conclusion: we are currently not doing very well. It is important, while we are still in the memory of jolting process, to remind ourselves of the fact that Igbo have recorded so many firsts in Nigeria, particularly in intellectual, in scientific, and technological fields before and after independence. The list of such great Igbos with prodigious feats in many fields is long enough to keep us here the whole day if I were to name them one by one. The good news is that till today, Igbos have continued to be trailblazing in various fields of endeavor, such as technology and invention, where Igbos are now topping the charts. For example, Professor Bat Nnaji was the first African to become director of the United States National Science Foundation and the first to be honored by the World Bank. While Professor Ume Ifeanyi Chinedu is credited with 5 patents for his inventions. Above all, Igbos are listed and recognized in many publications among the highest achievers and technologically advanced people in the world. Every now and then, Nigerian girls and boys are recognized for incredible academic feats in various subjects all over the world. A Nigerian girl of Igbo extraction was recently named the best graduating medical student at a Russian university. A few days later, a Nigerian boy was named the best graduating student at a university in the United States of America. Recently, an Igbo girl was the best graduating student in a Chinese university. Evidently, therefore, one can say that Igbo intellectual and technological ingenuity is still alive and kicking. It is still the same race, the same people, speaking the same language, and sharing the same culture and even religion. But something has snapped. The Igbos still manifest their entrepreneurial, intellectual, and technological wizardry, now mostly in far-away lands, with only a handful doing so in the homeland. The prevailing situation in Igbo land today is best captured by the words of W.B. Yeats, which were made popular by our own Shona Ishebe. Things fall apart. The center cannot hold. That truly appears to be the problem. The center in Igbo homeland can no longer hold. That is the reality of the moment. The ironclad unity that made us thick enough to lead Nigeria in commerce, lead Nigeria in civil service and the bureaucracy, and even in the organized private sector, has taken flight. That is the cancerous worm that has eaten deep into the fabric and soul of Ndi Igbo. We are no longer united. We no longer speak with one voice. We have allowed ourselves to be fragmented. We have willfully allowed ourselves to be divided. And as the scripture says, a house that is divided against itself cannot stand. Some of our brothers and sisters even refuse to be referred to as Igbos. That is how sorry and how sad our story is. That is why the Igbos have become almost distant from the mainstream Nigerian polity. So what do? Do we fold our hands and allow ourselves drift further into the bottomless abyss of insignificance? Or do we accept the challenge and jolt ourselves out of the slumber of self-defeat? To do this, we need to start telling ourselves some bitter home truths. Unfortunately, or fortunately, the challenge of insecurity is bringing us together to partner and cooperate again. Onye ndị iro gbara gburugburu na-eche ndụ ya nche mgbe niile. We are now surrounded by dangerous criminals who want to decimate us and take over Igbo land. We are witnessing the worst form of insecurity, where human blood, held sacred by Igbos, is being shed recklessly, where human beings are beheaded and videotaped, and where non-state actors now decree the days Ndi Igbo must go out to seek for their daily bread. And Igbo adage has it that the toad does not run in the afternoon without a cause. Our gathering today has been partly inspired by the fact that we are facing the collective threat of insecurity in the Southeast. The ease with which these criminals can move from one eastern state to another state reinforces the need for us to pull our resources together and to cooperate if we will be able to overcome the danger we face today. I really wish we did this meeting long before now. However, it is not too late, and Uzodimma should be our watchword. A source of encouragement and hope. As I earlier noted, we can only begin our search for the solutions to our challenges by telling ourselves the bitter truth. Already, we have identified the lack of unity as the major burden of our generation. In trying, therefore, to profile a solution to the major cause of our latter-day disunity, I have reminisced back in the time to our roots, and I have come to the conclusion that the real cause is that we have abandoned a special attribute that is not only unique to us, but makes others envious of us. I think that the crux of the matter is that we have allowed what we consider our unique identity attribute to rot. What is the Igbo unique identity attribute? Or otherwise, if you may wish, called DNA, if you prefer. It is our Republican spirit. I dare add that it is on the altar of our unique Republican spirit, fired by our kindred spirit, that our entrepreneurial energy and creativity are nurtured and unbundled. That is also the spirit that drove our unity in the past. How do I mean? As I alluded to earlier, One of the things that stood Ndi Igbo out in the First Republic and pre-independence era was the well-organized Igbo State Union. That union, which was driven by our Republican spirit, successfully brought every Igbo man under one umbrella. A few details here will suffice. The Igbo State Union was founded in 1948, 12 years before independence. It was an umbrella union that brought all Igbos together. It was private sector driven up to 1966, when it was proscribed along other political parties. The Igbo State Union had branches in every major town in Nigeria. It was a strong voice in the national political space. It believed strongly in a united Nigeria. It was a catalyst for private sector-driven development projects, such as schools, hospitals. The school known today as National High School Aba was built by Igbo State Union. It also built one of such schools in Kano and a number of other cities across the country. That is the spirit of unity. That is the origin of Nigerian project. That is the belief of an average Igbo man. What has gone wrong? The Igbo State Union was self-funded. It did not depend on public funds. It was influential and was respected all over the country and beyond as the independent and uncompromisable voice of Ndi Igbo. The salient takeaway from the above are as follows. The Igbo State Union was a private sector initiative and was private sector fund independence. It remained so. It was very influential as the united voice of Ndi Igbo. It was the Igbo Republican spirit that drove the union, hence no public sector influence or control. The people voluntarily came together and committed to defend, promote, develop the Igbo race with their own funds and at their own pace. The Igbo spirit of enterprise thrives more in an unfettered ground defined by freedom and equity, not on a litany of rules. The key to the sustainability and functional deployment of the micro-Igbo kindred spirit or the macro-Republican spirit lies in a private sector-driven initiative. Going forward, it is therefore my well-considered submission that we need to return to the golden era of the spirit of the Igbo State Union if we are truly desirous of a resurgence of an unassailable Igbo unity. Mind you, I'm not calling for a rebirth of another Igbo State Union. Far from it. So many things have happened since 1966 that makes a rebirth of an Igbo State Union practically impossible. Besides, Ohaneze Ndi Igbo has been around trying to fill the vacuum created by the demise of the Igbo State Union. Also, the dynamic reality of today makes it imperative that as a people, we must embark on a paradigm shift. We must be done, therefore, and what must be done is to reinvent the Igbo State Union spirit in a more pragmatic way to suit the challenges of our present generation. I had broached this idea when I delivered the 14th Eninjoku lecture at the University of Nigeria in Nsukka in 2018. I recall submitting then that Ndi Igbo should float an economic development fund to finance technological research in our universities and to ensure the practical realization of good research findings. I wish to stand on that proposal, but on an expanded version once again. I believe that there is need for our sons and daughters who drive the private sector to support Ohaneze Ndi Igbo, penetrate the grassroots, penetrate our young men and women, preach morality, teach them our culture and tradition, and make life more meaningful in our land. Ohaneze should be encouraged to have branches in all the states of Nigeria, including Abuja, in all the local governments in Nigeria where Igbo people live. All existing town unions should encourage and be encouraged to dissolve into Ohaneze Ndi Igbo so that we can be united, and under that umbrella we can speak with one voice. As the private sector plays this crucial role of galvanizing Ndi Igbo into one united body with one voice, the public sector or the governments will have their own roles to play. I can confirm to you that our governors are working together and united, and the present set of governors are desirous in having Igbo interests developed, in having our region secure, in doing everything that will be necessary to bring prosperity to our people. In this connection, I consider it very necessary to suggest that the cooperation and unity of all Southeast leaders, both in public and private sector, they must come to meet, float a platform for routine engagements so that collectively we can define our destiny. Collectively, we can defend our destiny. Collectively, we can protect our zone. I'm submitting that this meeting today be adopted as a standard annual meeting for leaders of Ndi Igbo. I therefore call on the organizing committee to consider this as part of the recommendation that they will adopt. A special forum should be established for all political office holders in the Southeast to meet at least twice a year, to exchange ideas, form a synergy on matters concerning Ndi Igbo. This will help us have a common national position on as many issues as possible. I will further suggest that we establish a platform for regular dialogue between the Southeast leaders and our youths. This could be by way of having a standing committee for Southeast youth engagement with leaders, a biennial conference, a conference between the leaders and the youth groups can be convoked. Through such interactions, the leaders will begin to understand and appreciate the peculiar challenges of our youths. Our youth also will have the opportunity of knowing what is happening in the world and in the country, because some of them have derailed out of ignorance, or otherwise I can say because nobody is talking to them. I think that the need to reinvent the guidance spirit of Onyaga Lawanne in Igbos cannot be overemphasized. The decline in that spirit resulting from our defeat in the Civil War was our greatest loss. Apparently cowed by the defeat in that war, our people became afraid to assert themselves, to operate as a formidable team they were known for before and immediately after independence. This lacuna in the Igbo psyche is what I hope that can be filled through the proposals I have just outlined. Returning to the role of the private sector or public sector in ensuring a renaissance of Igbo unity and development, I believe the place to start is by addressing the nagging insecurity challenges in our land. As noted in this address earlier, one of the reasons why we are here is to discuss the prevailing insecurity in the Southeast and the way forward. This is one area that the state governments must have a substantial role to play. There is no doubt that the insecurity situation in the Southeast is fast turning into an inexplicable phenomenon. High separatist agitation, criminals have visually laid siege on our respective states. The irony of that, is that most of them who unleash all manner of criminality and banditry on the Southeast live also in the Southeast. Some of them are also well known to the indigenes of the area where they use as their operational base. But the indigenes are too afraid to expose them. Indeed, what is happening in the Southeast is not just curious, but unusual. The type of criminality, including barbarism, which hitherto were unthinkable in our Igbo, has now become a commonplace. We are witnessing a very uncommon times indeed. But as an Igbo proverb will have it, "Anobo ajoso, abagraya ajegbe." If an animal makes a dangerous sprint, you have to fire at it with additional impetus. Or like Chineshebe put it, if Weleke the bird learns to fly without passion, then the hunter must learn how to shoot without aiming. The summary is that we are in unusual times, and we must apply unusual solutions. To achieve this, we must work together in many ways than one. My ideas on how we can achieve this will be discussed at the closed-door sessions. But suffice it to say here that we must rise from this summit with a clear roadmap on how to ensure that our people are not interrupted in their legitimate quest to work and earn their livelihood. 7 days of the week, our people must be allowed to operate. This is to say that this summit must come up with a pragmatic ways of ending the senseless madness called sit at home in the Southeast. The Southeast is part of the Nigerian project. We believe in Nigeria. We are united, and not the only country we can call our own. And I would recommend that one day a president of Southeast extraction will emerge as a Nigerian president. Let me now touch on the issue of the economy of the Southeast and the urgent need to empower our youths so that they will no longer be willing tools in the hands of evil men and women terrorizing our region. While I concede that the issue of unemployment is a recurring problem pushing governments to their wits' end, it is something that will not go away except we tackle it from the roots. I have often wondered why the other regions still have institutions that bind them, while we have none. For example, in the Southeast, you have entities like the Wema Bank, which is owned by the government of the Southwest. In the Southwest. And the Wema Bank is still standing. Why is equivalent in the Southeast? African Continental Bank is long gone. As a matter of fact, we have visually allowed the Michael Okpara legacies to go to West. Our economic sustainability strategy has never taken into account the need to work together for the growth of Igbo economy as a whole, even though we come from different states. As I mentioned earlier, when I delivered the 14th edition of the famous Eni Njoku lecture series, I advocated for the establishment of a development fund for Ndi Igbo to fund economic and technology research by our academics. Our sons and daughters with the wherewithal should make contributions to this fund, while our academia will assess and utilize these funds to embark on research that will drive our innovative ideas for economic and technological advancement. This advocacy of mine is still as relevant today as it was on the first day I canvassed it. A further step can be taken to establish a Southeast Technology Village or Science Park. I had also made this call in one of my public lectures. This can be called the Orient Technology Village, and will serve as a place where talented scientists can be deployed to translate research findings from our universities into new products. I foresee the possibility of this village serving as the springboard that can turn our Igbo, and indeed Nigeria, into the Japan of Africa. Again, because our people are entrepreneurs and traders, we need to assist them to make their contributions towards the economic growth of the Southeast. There is also a need to create common trade institutions like the establishment of Southeast Commodity Board for the purpose of boosting agriculture and commerce in the region. While the board helps farmers to take in and store their surplus yields, the masses will access these products at affordable rates. To achieve this effectively, there should be an efficient transport system across the region. The 5 Southeast states can establish and run a common transport company to facilitate the movement of goods and personnel across the region. We can even establish a railway system to run across the 5 southeastern states. With our Southeast Railway Corporation, our dream of economic integration would have come closer to reality. The current efforts of my administration in dredging the Oguta Lake up to the Atlantic Ocean are also geared towards boosting the economy of the Southeast, particularly because it comes with the prospect of a river port. This will certainly accelerate our economic development. Let me at this juncture commend our brothers and sisters in Nnewi, Anambra State, and Aba in Abia State for their vision in sustaining the towns as the economic hub of the Southeast. It feeds into our vision of backward integration, investing at home for our development. I'm looking forward to seeing more Nnewis and Abas replicated in various towns of Igbo land with specialized markets and services. We have Aba, we have Olu, we have Onitsha, we have Nsukka, we have Abakaliki, all waiting for these specialized markets and services. Let us explore the opportunities. My brothers and sisters, my dear governors, your excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed my great pleasure to welcome you once more to Imo State as we engage in the serious business of brainstorming in this summit on the way forward for Igbo. I pray that you will find time also to relax and enjoy yourselves. When you do, you will even be amazed with the first-class hospitality our state has to offer. You may even be tempted to decide to stay back here permanently. Please feel free to do so. I wish all of us a very successful summit, and I want to thank all of you for coming, and may God bless us. Thank you.